Hello, my name is Ana Garcia Ceballos, and today I will be giving a presentation on the study of machine learning-based two-phase flow monitoring using DAS for the 2021 Virtual Undergraduate Research Symposium. I would like to start by thanking my mentors in this project, Dr. Jig Jin and Alexei Titov, for their guidance and help. First, I'll start with an outline of the presentation. To begin, I will discuss the motivation and goal of the study. Then I will present the experiment setup from which the data was recorded through. Then I will explain the data processing prior to application of machine learning. And following, I will explain the machine learning algorithm utilized in this project. Next, I will present the results obtained, and lastly, the conclusions and future recommendations. The motivation of this study is working towards the integrity of wellbore and pipelines, as they can have production and environment implications resulting from leakage. This study works towards the monitoring of a multi-phase flow and hence potential leakage in real-time data. In this presentation, I will be using terms like bubbles and slugs, which are multi-phase flow in pipes consisting of aerated liquids and larger bubbles. The goal of this study is to track the bubbles in a two-phase of gas and liquid flow within a vertical flow loop, and also to characterize different sizes of slugs and flow behavior using machine learning k-means algorithm. The recorded DAS data was obtained from the following setup. The setup design consisted of a 7-meter long transparent PVC with a 1-inch inner diameter that was wrapped with a fiber optic cable of a single mode, as shown in this section. There was an effective channel spacing of about 9 centimeters, and then at the bottom, cold tap water and compressed air to generate the flow in the bubbles was injected. There was also the injection of hot water using a peristaltic pump, which started at 30 seconds into the recording. The data processing consisted of the following steps. First, the raw data was read in which we can see the time duration in the x-axis and then the channels in the y-axis. The raw data was sliced into windows of 1 second per channel. Then, for each window and time series function, the Fourier transform was applied in order to obtain the frequency constituents of the function, which essentially added the third dimension to the data. Because this results in a symmetric distribution, only the positive frequencies were kept for computational efficiency. After this was applied to all the windows of the data was reshaped into a 3D cube, where we have the x-axis as the time, and the channels are in the y-axis, and then the frequencies are in the z-axis. In order to apply machine learning algorithms, the input data needed to be reshaped in 2 dimensions. To do this, the time and the channel axis were combined to serve as an index of location and time, allowing us to keep the frequency as the feature for the machine learning. To make sure the data was consistent, standardization was applied to standardize the range of the features of the input data. So essentially, each feature contributes equally to the analysis. This is done by subtracting the mean and then dividing it over the standard deviation. Following, principal component analysis was applied in order to reduce the dimensionality of the large data set. This created new uncorrelated variables from the linear combinations of the initial variables. So, as can be seen here, with the larger number of components, we have higher cumulative variance. In this study, 95% was used for the variance. The machine learning algorithm used was unsupervised k-means, which essentially allows to group observations or data points into clusters that observe similar features, in this case the frequencies. This is done through unsupervised learning, so essentially the target is unknown. Instead, it is inferred by the patterns and does not involve any training. The k-means algorithm essentially consists of two iterative steps. First, there is a division of data points into clusters with random position centroids, which are indicated by the black stars in this figure. These clusters are formed from data points assigned based on the Euclidean distance to the centroids. The second step is the repositioning and optimization of the centroids. This is done based on the mean of all data points in that cluster. This iterative process continues until there is convergence. The results of the unsupervised k-means algorithm using 4 clusters is seen here on the right, and on the left is the raw data for comparison. The results of the machine learning show some diagonal trends indicative of the flow moving upwards in the pipe through time. And here, the channels, which are a total of 100, were reduced to only the channels between 15 to 90, which is narrowed to our area of interest. Furthermore, the frequencies were reduced to frequencies between 1 and 200 Hz, as this range had been previously discussed in Titov et al. 2020 paper, indicative of significance observations. In the left-hand side, we have the results of the frequency reduction. Here, 2 major observations are seen. The first one is the poor coupling, observed at 37 and 70 channel. This is where there was not a tight contact between the fiber optic cable and the pipe. Second is the clear distinction at 30 seconds, which was picked up by cluster 3. This is indicative of the acoustic noise from the hot water pump. On the right-hand side, we have the 4 average spectrograms for each cluster, with each one showing different behaviors. However, there are some consistent observations of high peaks at around 25, 50, and 125 Hz in all 4 spectrograms. This is because the laboratory setting is equipped with various electronics which produce alternating currents, AC frequencies, which are now being picked up by the DAS data. After eliminating the AC distortions of harmonics, subharmonics, and interharmonic frequencies, a more clean image is shown on the left, with the 4 different clusters, and on the right their corresponding spectrogram averages. As can be seen by cluster 1 and 2, indicated by the color blue and green, there are noticeable trends of slugging that allow us for the estimation of the bubble velocity using the slopes. So in conclusion, monitoring of a two-phase flow can be achieved using unsupervised machine learning k-means. This allows for the automatic detection of slug flow as well as velocity estimation. Compared to previous methods, not much preconditioning is needed. This method is scalable to other applications, such as transportation pipes. So essentially, this method is a tool that can be used for monitoring flow with some clear advantages. Some future recommendations would be to train data using controlled slugs released into the pipe, and also controlling their sizes. Other unsupervised machine learning algorithms could be tested to compare their efficiency as well. Lastly, I would like to thank the Fiber Optics Research Group for providing this data and the Office of Undergraduate Research Scholars for funding this study. Thank you all for your time.